Okay, hi guys. I have had a request also in the last couple of weeks just to review pulling up taller. And I have noticed with a handful of you who have quite a lot of experience, you're not really going taller than 5 or 6 inches. And I want to talk about how to pull your cylinders a bit taller than that and what to consider. Just get this on center. You all know how to do that. I think you're all at the stage that it's really important for you not to throw freestyle. As soon as you put the clay on the wheel head, have a goal and a direction of where you're going, because then you're going to be training your motor memory with greater cognitive ability versus if you're just sort of all over the place. Where am I going to go? Oh, I'm going to pull it up. Maybe I'll do a bowl. Maybe I'll do this. You're not going to be training yourself the way that you should be. Okay, this is on center. So we're just going to try to pull this up, and I'm going to go through some of the rudiments of what to consider as you start pulling it up taller. Press the bottom. Bring the side wall in a bit. So for a cylindrical form, a goblet, tall mug, a stein, one of the bigger issues is you can't fit your hand in there when you're my size. So we're going to go over that as well. So this is our basic foundation piece. There's a little thickness on the bottom, so I'm going to pull a little bit of that clay out, and I'm going to round the interior shoulder. Because we may want a piece that the interior is narrower than my hand, we can rivet and close it or collar it in from the outside. But if you have a perpendicular interior wall, pushing this in at the junction of the perpendicular angle, it folds the clay, creates a wrinkle or a fold or a weak spot. Versus if it's curved and you push it in, you don't create that weak spot. So we have a curved interior shoulder. All right, I'm going to start to pull it up. Okay, my back's wobbling slightly, so I'm going to put some clay in around the backs. I think maybe I'll clean my hands. There we go. Okay, so now we're going to start to pull this upward and inward. I'm not going to be altering my rim and ribbing it way out or creating a bottleneck. So you can afford not, at this stage, I'm not going to put all that extra weight in the rim because I'm not going to be moving the rim in or way out. So we're going to push in firmly. See this big bulge right here? There's a lot of clay down there. I grab that clay, I pull it up. When I come up about 2 inches, I lighten up my pressure. I release the pressure. Now, let's talk about why that is. Water density is something you need to understand extensively as you advance into throwing. The water density, my needle tool, the water density from below this line is significantly different than above that line. The clay is also thixotropic, meaning under vibration, it has molecular expansion. And the more you move your clay, the softer, because the molecules and particles of clay are stretched and they expand from vibration. This clay has less moisture applied to it below this line and less vibration because it hasn't been moved as far. So you need to exert quite a bit more pressure here than you do here. And to get taller, you're going to pull this lower 30%. That lower section of clay that is firmer, that's where you're going to get more height from. So I'm really squeezing it firmly to there. Now I lighten up my pressure by about 50%, and I keep going to the rim. As you get taller, you have to be very aware that you can't keep squeezing this clay thinner and thinner and thinner, or it's not going to hold its vertical form. We can do that again. Pull that clay up. It's starting to feel like it's pretty even down there. And the rim is flanged out just because it can't contain my hand. So I can collar this in just a little bit. And I think I'm going to pull up one more time. Try to get a little more height from the clay down below. There. Yeah. I'm going to stop there. And now I'm going to collar that. So I wet it extensively. Take my fingers, these 4 fingers, the 2 thumbs and index finger, all on the same plane. Accelerate your wheel speed, squeeze in and lift up gently. Now, we have a fair amount of weight in here. This is about equal to what's down there, but we can now pull the upper section. Here, we can pull this vertically, making a taller form. So the key to this is this lower 30% we pulled up to here, elongating the piece upward. And then we're taking the clay that we've left here and pulling it up to the rim. Try to stay away from the concept that you're pulling clay the whole way from the bottom, the whole way to the rim. You're actually pulling the clay and redistributing it into the 50% margin, and then moving that clay upward. Now you can see the walls wobbling a little bit because I've ribbed it. I pulled it to a really nice, consistent wall thickness, and the clay has been moved a lot, so the clay is much softer. Now, one of the issues, we're talking to one of our potters in this overall community, I think I'm being directed to take a pause, so we're just going to pause for a second. Thank you. Alrighty, we paused to adapt the bird's eye view because I'm probably up around 9 inches or more, so we needed to change the angle. So this is nothing but our base cylinder. Let's think about this as a drinking vessel. Now the bottom is probably 3/4 of an inch narrower than here. And if we trim down here, what's that going to do? It's going to make the piece top heavy. And with fluid, it's going to be very topsy-turvy. So what are our options? What I would do here is I would take my throwing stick, I would expand the bottom. That's what I would start with. Then I would take my flexi rig with this curvature. Well, let's get rid of the wobble first. There's a slight wobble from that ribbon. There. And then you can bring it in with this flexi rig. So this outward bulge here is going to give a lower center of gravity when it's full of fluid. If you don't have that expanded bottom, it's going to get top heavy. So now we're getting a really nice shape moving inward here. And if you were to make this into a beer stein, you could put a handle from here to here, and then you have more negative space where this indentation is for more of your hand to fit. I'm going to bring this up even more. That's looking, that wall thickness is looking nice. I'm going to bring the rim in. I'm going to compress this wall and smooth it with the rib. And I'm just going to bring it in a wee bit. Notice I slowed my wheel speed down. I'm going to take this curved part of the rib and I'm going to accent that indentation and push out with the finger just above it. That would be a really nice drinking vessel with a handle from here to here if you care, or you can just have this indentation for your fingers to grab it and drink from it. What I didn't bring in my tools today, which I really need, in a tall piece like that, is my sponge stick to get the water out of the interior bottom, but we can do that once we have removed that from the wheel head. Now, I can take one of my trimming tools and just cut this shoulder at an angle like that, which makes for a really nice form. And it's open enough for drinking. It will shrink 15% at cone 11. And that's a really nice tall vessel from just under 3 pounds, 2.5 pounds of clay, which you can do, but you have to do it section by section by section. All right, that's it for this form. Thank you. I think we're going to stop.